Hello again, and welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at an approach I've taken to creating a dynamic ambient system in order to get some ideas flowing for yourselves if you intend to create your own ambience. Just get some ideas out there that might help you make your ambiences a little bit more interesting. And yeah, welcome back, I guess, because again, for the fifth time, I've not uploaded a lot recently, and I apologise for that. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is the first video of the new year, so that's something. But yeah, apologies for that, and apologies to all the new viewers who've subscribed and thinking, oh, this guy's not uploading. I am, or I will be. Hopefully I can get the ball rolling again. I feel like I say that every time, but, well, I mean it this time, pinky promise. So yeah, let's see what I've been working on. So like I said, this is a dynamic ambient system I've been working on. As you can see, I'm in Fmod at the moment. The ambience I've been creating is kind of like a sci-fi, creepy, unsettling background noise. That's basically what I've been going for. It's for a game I've been working on called Beyond Equilibrium, which is basically a creepy sci-fi horror game with some stealth elements in there. I'll put a link in the description to the Twitter if you want to check out the game. Hopefully it'll be coming out late this year, maybe early next year. We'll kind of see how it goes. But I've been doing this ambience for it, and I figured I'd share it with you guys on my approach towards it, because I didn't want just to make, a single audio file that loops. I wanted to make it a bit more interesting. So yeah, hence why I'm kind of sharing with you. Hopefully later on down the line, maybe we can look at some more interactive ambiences as opposed to dynamic, ones that actually sort of change depending on parameters that are set by the game. Whereas this kind of just, what I mean by dynamic is that it is changing. It's kind of being unpredictable and not just doing the same thing over and over again. But as opposed to an interactive ambience, it's not changing depending on parameters in the game. So, a level would run, or whilst the player is in a specific area, this ambience would play, but it wouldn't change. It would basically just be on or off. Maybe that's something we can look into further down the line, but hey ho, we'll see. So let's kind of dive into it and just have a look at what I've been doing. This is basically just kind of a video looking at the specifics of what sounds I've created and how I've sort of put them all together. Not really too much of like a step 1, 2, and 3 guide instruction video. It's kind of just a free flowing. We'll see how this goes. Let's have a look at what I've done. Kind of, yeah. So let me know if you guys enjoy this, because this is something different. Kind of a bit of an experiment. If you don't like it, then we won't do it again. Simple as. So the first thing I've done, as you can see, is I've sort of split my ambience up into 3 layers. The first layer is basically just what you'd normally expect from an ambience. It's an audio track that loops. It's about 30 seconds long. And this is going to be the base of the ambience. This is going to be always playing while the player's in a specific area. And it gives us a bit of a backbone, something to work with, something to put all the other sounds on top of and mess around with. So let's have a listen to that on its own. Okay, there we go. So that's quite cool. You can already hear that it's kind of a bit weird and mysterious. It might sound like you're in a big industrial complex, or there's a lot of wind or air going through wherever you are. I'm trying to remember. I think I made this with microwaves. Basically, we've got this really knackered microwave downstairs that squeaks and makes these horrible noises. I think I recorded that a few times, stretched them, messed around with them a bit, and layered it a few times. And I came up with this, and it sounds quite cool. I think it really works for this kind of mood we're trying to create. So that's the first layer, quite simple. The second layer is basically a group of sounds, multiple sounds. These are going to play sort of randomly on top of the ambience loop that I've got to begin with. And these are kind of your long, stretched out, mysterious sounds that doesn't really have a specific sound source, or rather you wouldn't be able to know what these sounds are, if that makes sense. They're just weird and then they sit in the background, similarly to how the loop does, but they're basically kind of there to make the player think. You want them to kind of guess and kind of think, oh, where's that coming from, what's making that noise? That's kind of what they're there. They're not specific sounds, you wouldn't recognize them. So let's have a listen to a few of the sounds I've got here. I've stuck these in a scatter group, or a scatter instrument rather, scatterer instrument rather, but I'm lucky, in Fmod to randomly pick them and play them. So let's have a listen to a few of them, see what kind of sounds we're working with. So that's another sound I recorded from the microwave. You can kind of hear it just squeaking. I don't get why it does that. But it's great. It works for this. It's kind of worked out perfectly. I'll never throw that microwave again. Let's have another listen to another sound. So that's quite a good one. Again, it's like meant to be really mysterious. You don't know where it's coming from. It almost sounds like a scream. I can't even remember how I made that one, to be honest. Let's have a listen to one more. What have we got here? Yeah, let's listen to this one. So I think that sound, I was actually messing around with an electric razor, and what I did is I stretched it out, and I split it up into individual parts, and each individual part would be stretched out a different sort of amount. And then squished it all back together, and then you get this weird sort of drop and rise in pitch for the electric razor. It sounds really cool. So let's have a listen to that layer with both the with the loop playing underneath it. In fact, I'll tell you what, for this I'm going to turn it up a little bit. I dropped the volume down on this layer because I want these sounds to kind of not stand out too much. I want them to be just about noticeable by the playing. You know, if they're too loud, I feel like it kind of ruins the mood we're going for, which is sort of this creepy, unsettling, mysterious sound. So let's have a listen to this layer a bit boosted so we can hear what's going on. Go. So as you can hear, there's kind of a few things going on there other than just the sounds of playing. For one, what I've done is I've adjusted the pan so that it will randomly, pick a position on the dial here as to where to play the sound in the stereo field. Although I feel like that time it just kept sticking them on the right, which is a bit weird. It sometimes do that, but hopefully if we let this play, it would, mix it up a bit and go left and right, not just stick it all on the right. So we've done that. That helps, Again, that's kind of like you putting it in different places on the stereo field. It makes you think, oh, where's that coming from? What else did I do? So this layer on the scatterer, I put the spawn stealing on none because I don't want any of these sounds to be interrupted to start another sound playing. I want every sound to finish before the next one plays. Polyphony, I've gone to 1. I only want 1 playing per layer, and I'll talk about that in a bit more later. Min and max spawn interval, I've gone between a quarter of a second and 2 seconds. That just kind of felt right. For you, you might want to experiment how often you want them playing. Min and max scatter distance. Basically what this does is kind of simulate a sense of distance between the listener and the sound. It's not something I've kind of messed around with too much in this because this ambience was kind of be a bit 2D. I guess you kind of don't want that. In a game, you probably would mess around with the min and max scatter distance a bit more because you want them to sound like they're coming from far away. But for this demonstration, I figured I won't mess around with too much, and I've just put it between 0 and 5. And then I've got some random volume automation or modulation, I guess, and some pitch randomization as well, which I really like doing. I like mixing up the pitch and the volume because, again, it makes the sounds sound different each time. We want this to sound as we don't want it to sound repetitive, basically, which is what that helps doing. Cool. So that's layer 2. So like I said, it's basically these weird, long, stretched out sounds that you can't quite distinguish. You can't tell where they're coming from, what they are. Layer 3 is very similar to layer 2 in that it's playing a lot of random sounds. The difference is these are more specific sounds. So these are to sort of fit what's going on in the game. In our game, we've got basically a load of AI robots sort of wandering around trying to find you. So there's a bit of them in there. I've taken some of the sounds I was working on for them and changed them a little bit, made it a bit unclear as to whether or not it is them or not, kind of, because I don't want to make it too obvious, but I thought it'd be a nice touch to kind of throw some already existing sounds in there. Oh, the dog's barking, that's really good. And we've also got, I think, let me see if I can find it. So what I also did is I was listening to a lot of Dead Space ambiences, because that's just a great game for this kind of sound. And I was listening to them, and I kind of noticed this kind of rattling of metal, and I was messing around with some stuff at home, and I actually ended up recreating it almost with some metal knives. I basically took a long ridged knife and a long flat knife, or the edge of the blade of the knife rather was ridged and the other blade was flat. Rub them together and we kind of got this sound. Which sounds creepy as hell and I love it. What else did we do? I also came up with some distant footstep sounds. So it sounds like something's walking around in the background. And then just some more electronic weird noises that you wouldn't be able to put your finger on. Okay, so it's got some really cool stuff in there. A lot of this is obviously quite reverberated and filtered to sound distant. And again, a lot of the scatterer settings are very similar to the second layer. Cool, so let's have a listen to all three of these together, shall we? I'm just going to turn layer 2 back down a bit, because like I said earlier, I kind of want them to sit in the background and not be too, well, whilst I want them to be noticeable, I don't want them to just, you know, slap me in the face with how loud they are. So let's keep listening. There we go. I don't know if you noticed at the end there, but the footsteps were playing very, very quietly, and it was almost like, can I hear footsteps? Can I not? That's kind of what I was going for. I wanted the sounds to sometimes be louder than the loop layer, but sometimes just a little bit quiet so that you couldn't really distinguish them. And I think it's come out really well, actually. I'm quite proud of it. You know, it sounds really creepy. I suppose what I could have done, and what you could maybe do as well, is taken where I've recorded a few of these things at a time. So, for example, the knives rubbing together. What I could have done is made that their own layer, and then, you know, it would only play one of them at a time, and then I could have another layer of maybe the footsteps, for example, and I could separate all those into layers. Whereas here I've gone for 3 layers just because I wanted to keep this very simple, and this way I know that the maximum amount of audio I'm going to be playing is 3 total, no more than 3, which is quite nice for mixing. I kind of know what I'm working with. It's never going to be too loud. There's never going to be too much build up of amplitude, if that makes sense. I mean, you can up the polyphony, you can have as many sounds as playing as you want. That's just kind of what I'm going for. Like I said, these are no specific rules you have to follow. This is just kind of how I've approached creating a dynamic ambience, and you could do whatever you want. Obviously, the genre of the game might dictate how you approach this as well. You might want to think, oh, maybe I want to do some more random sounds, or maybe I want to do more than one looping sound. I don't know, it's up to you. But I thought this would be interesting to look at. And also a good way to kickstart, you know, get more videos on this channel. I want to talk a lot more about audio, mess around with Unity and Fmod some more, maybe dive into some more sound design stuff as well, how we can go about creating sounds. And like I said, this is a bit of an experiment, so let me know if you guys found this interesting or if you just don't care. Don't be shy to let me know how you feel. And I think that's everything. So yeah, thanks again for all the people who have now joined the team. And looking forward to listening to some more videos we have to put up here. I've also kind of gone for a new setup in terms of my microphone and my interface and the monitor I'm using. So if this sounds a bit different, or doesn't sound right, or look right, or anything like that, please let me know. It's always a great help to hear what you guys have to say. And like always, if you've got any ideas for videos you might want me to cover, again, if it's on Fmod or Unity, or hell, maybe even Wise or Unreal, I could have a look at them. Or any sound design stuff you want to look at, please feel free to throw them in the comments, and I'll, well, see if I can jump into them as soon as possible. Great, so thank you all very much for watching again. I've been Henry Scott, and I'll see you next time.